Their fight comes in the aftermath of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning affirmative action, which was put in place to help schools achieve diversity. That's why programs like Peer Forward, that connect students in low-income families to higher education, are so vitally important. The National Center for Education Statistics says that the number of black students in college decreased by 22% between 2010 and 2020, and it's fallen another 7% since then. Many critics worry that the Supreme Court decision will only make it harder for black students to be admitted into top schools. But Peer Forward is doing the work, making sure that that doesn't happen. Joining me now is Gary Linnen. He's the CEO of Peer Forward. My brother, welcome to the grill. Thank you so much for the work that you're doing. How exactly does Peer Forward help black students to prepare for college?
Thank you. I'm definitely excited to be a part of this conversation. So Peer Forward basically trains and mobilizes the most influential individuals in a school building to be able to help their friends get into college. And by doing that, we train them in three things: getting them to be able to apply to 3 or more colleges that are the right fit, getting them to fill out their financial aid forms early, and then connecting academics to college and career. But in order to do that, you need to make sure that your personal statement is on par. So we train our students in how to write an authentic personal statement so that they can utilize that within their college admissions process, as well as meeting with a college coach to figure out what is the right college for them to be able to apply to.
You said the most influential people in the school building. Who are those people, for those that don't know?
Great question. So a lot of times we think it's the most top tier individual in the building. Typically it's not. It's actually an individual when they walk down the hallway, individuals are watching them. When they're talking, individuals are paying attention to them. So we tap into that mid-tier student who has the opportunity to go ahead and influence their entire population. When we're thinking about influencers on Instagram and all social media platforms, it's that person who knows how to go ahead and tap into individuals that share a like-mindedness of them, if you will.
Gotcha. Now, how does the Supreme Court's decision on affirmative action impact the work that you're doing? A lot of people said, all bets are off. We have no mechanism to target and support and raise the levels of black and brown students anymore.
The great thing about Peer Forward has been around for almost 30 years. And what we learned 30 years ago is that our stories matter. When we started in a community center working with 4, black individuals in DC, their stories mattered during that time. And we kept doing that. And it's about getting individuals to take their personal statements and tell their story, about raising their identity. And so if their identity is about being black, if the identity means that it's about their culture, if the identity means it's about their race, gender, sexual orientation, lead with that. So that's what we've been doing this entire time, of which why we've been able to impact over 600,000 students in order to be able to get into college, because what they did was tell their story. And that's the unique factor that we offer, regardless of the Supreme Court decision. It's tell your story.
And that story is often a compelling one. Some students I hear, though, are saying, I wanted to go to X school and now I can't. I got to go to a different school. Are you hearing that the students are worried about not getting to the top school of their choice?
Interesting enough, we polled our students this past summer. Only 17% of our students actually knew about affirmative action. So many of our adults were alarmed about it because, we marched for them. We actually fought for them. But today in the age, they're like, you know what? That's great, but I'm still going to go ahead and tell my story, and I'm still going to go ahead and apply to these top selective schools. And if I don't get in, that means that was not the right place for me, and that is okay. So that it's not deterring them from applying to the schools that they want to of their choice. It's about finding the right match. And by doing that is making sure that they're telling their story, and the school equally is saying, yes, this is the type of individual that I want on my campus.
Is your approach different when we think about different types of schools? For example, supporting a kid to go to an elite institution like Howard versus a PWI that also might be elite but has a very different culture and context?
The approach is not different in that what we center in is one thing. It's like, is it the right fit? So as an individual, you or myself, we knew the type of school we wanted to go to. So if I needed to be at a HBCU like Howard, I would have chosen that. So what are the elements that I'm looking for? I chose to go to Cornell because I love to be at a big school upstate New York because that was important to me. But we need to make sure that individuals understand, what are the key criteria that are important to you? And that's the piece that we tend to elevate. Finding the right school, the right fit. And so don't change in your pattern. It's finding what's important to you.
Now, there are parents who are watching this and students, and they're getting ready for college admissions. It's that season. I remember it well as a parent and as a student. What advice you got for them in the last minute we have?
Last thing I would say is like, pay attention to your personal statement. Make sure you're highlighting who you are as an individual. Celebrate it. Celebrate your uniqueness and making sure that you're reaching out to be able to build your networks. Do not let the Supreme Court decision deter you from being able to go to the school of your dream. If that's Harvard, if that's Howard, if that's Spelman or Morehouse, go for it. It's your opportunity today. Celebrate that.
Gary Linnen with some wise advice. He is the CEO of Peer Forward. He knows what he's talking about. Thanks for joining us, my brother. And if you want to connect with him and the work he's doing, visit peerforward.org.